Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Amanda here with us. She's a trauma sensitive life and somatic coach dedicating to helping others reconnect with their inner wisdom. So, Amanda, please introduce yourself fully to our audience.
Okay. All right. I am originally from California, but I live in Knoxville, Tennessee now. I have four children and two grandchildren, and I feel like what's led me to this area, this practice, this somatic coaching, which if you don't know what somatic coaching is, it's about helping you to tune into yourself. Like instead of ignoring your body when you think you need a break, you need to go to the restroom or you need to get something to eat, instead of ignoring yourself, you learn how to be present and recognize that there's thoughts and ideas that come from inside of us that maybe we have um, disregarded, and how can we reconnect with those parts of us. So being a wife and a mother has kind of brought me to this place, honestly. So I having four children, you're running everywhere and taking care of everyone else's needs. You have a husband, you have siblings, you have parents, whatever your situation is. And it was just interesting because one day I just realized somebody asked me like, what do you want in life? And I just looked at them like, well, I'm a mom and a wife and a daughter and a mother and like what do you I mentioned mother twice. Is that funny? But you know, all those things, but they're like, well, but what do you want? And I just like looked at them and I just stared kind of blankly like I had forgotten myself. I'd forgotten that I have needs and desires too. And then I started like saying, where did I go? What happened to me? And and kind of that led me towards all that I am choosing to be now. It's
Mhm.
like I realized, oh, how can I turn back to myself? But at first it was really interesting. I had someone tell me they're like, well, just um meditate for a little bit. Well, my mind was so full of thoughts. When I tried to quiet my mind, it was not a quiet place. And it was not a good place because I was so critical of myself. And so, what kind of brought me around was like, how can I learn to speak kindly to myself? It's okay. Even the realization that it's okay to speak kindly to myself took a little bit. So then I had to kind of learn the language. How can I shift to speaking kindly to myself? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. What does that mean? How does that look? So then I turned to people that helped me see that we don't have to be unkind to ourselves. Even if the outside world judges us, how can we set down the critic and become our own best friend again? Because really, in order to be authentic to ourselves, we can't be hating on ourselves. And so it was really just this shift towards me that brought me to the somatic coaching and helping people to tap into their own body, their own inner wisdom. And that's what I love about it because I'm not here to tell Tony or anyone else here how to live their life, but I want to help you to be able to tap into your inner wisdom to know what your heart wants because your heart may want something totally different than mine. And that's okay. Doesn't make either of us wrong or either of us right, but how can we turn towards what we truly want, not the acceptance of other that avoids or precludes our own well-being? So it was
Okay.
just this pivot. Yes.
And can you tell us like what does it mean to actually turn into your inner wisdom?
Mm.
Tune into.
So yes. So tuning into our inner wisdom, it's like that little voice inside of you that maybe even sounds like it's upset with you or angry or the fears that come up. All of those, the pain in our body is a big one. So if you have fear or pain or, confusion or you feel like you just can't be present with yourself, then we need to gain tools to help regulate our nervous system so that we can be present with the things that maybe we have condemned as bad or wrong. So a lot of times people are like, well, it's not okay to be sad, or, I need to be happy every day. And the truth is, that's not accurate. The truth is that it's okay to have all these different feelings, but are we listening to what is the fear saying to us? Is it saying that maybe we don't feel safe in a certain environment? Is it saying that something needs to shift? And instead of thinking of anger and fear and resentment as our enemy, like turning towards them, like, what does it mean? Oh, I just said yes to this thing that I really didn't want to do. So basically, I crossed my own boundary. So how can I learn to listen to myself and my gut? It's funny we talk about that sinking feeling in your gut. You get that sensation in your gut because there's something that needs your attention. Do you listen to it or do you ignore it? I mean, there's the extremes. I worked in the nursing home and as occupational therapist and therapy assistant, and people would ignore their foot so long they'd have to have it they'd have to have it removed because they weren't listening to their bodies. And so I realized I want to help people not to get to that place. I want people to listen to what their body needs. If we listen and reconnect, it there's lots of layers to it. Like you and I discussed before, it's not like ripping off the band-aid off your jugular. You can't just, go to the hardest thing in on the planet if you don't have the tools. Um, and so it's really about how can we learn what we need to do to suture that gaping wound that we have. How can we support it? But we have to have the right tools. I guess the thing is we have to build our emotional well-being. We have to recognize, what do we need? What tools do we need? I needed a kinder way to speak to myself before I could be present with meditating, which I love to do now. But but we have to get the tools. If we don't have the tools to go on a trek, like going to Mount Everest, if we don't have all of the supplies to be present there, we're not going to survive. So what tools do we need along the way? So we need to be grounded. And this is one of the things that I need to be grounded. All of us need to, but nonetheless, for me, I'll just speak for myself, not for everyone, because everyone has their own journey. Being grounded, literally putting my feet on the earth, movement, stillness. But stillness not in the way of shutting off the mind. I'm not going to listen to you at all, but finding that peace that can come. Now that can take a little while, especially if your mind is racing. Okay. So that's why I choose, like, there's women, I really like Sarah Blondin. She's a great one if you want to learn how to listen to and speak kindly to yourself. I listen to her all the time, all the time. She's on every platform you can think of. She's a really good one, but find someone that has words that you would prefer to hear for yourself. And then what you do is you emulate like a child. You bring those ideas in. And then there's also movement, like making sure we're moving. If you're sitting all day at a computer like this, I mean, just open your shoulders up, spread your arms out, shake it out, like, whew, see what feels good to your body. Like what are we withholding for some greater good that isn't real? And recognizing that. What do
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
think?
And what's the actual way? What are the usual things that you help your clients with?
Well, first, the foundational things is really gaining the tools, the different tools and strategies to be present. And then we slowly recognize, okay, what's coming up? They'll come into a session and they're like, well, my 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 heart is hurting. Okay, what does that mean? And we tap into it, not necessarily to use the ego to identify what's going on because it might be still judgmental, but how can we tune into this spot and recognize what sensation is there? Like what sensation is there? Well, my heart's been racing so much. Okay, what would you prefer, and how can we acknowledge things in a different way? So it's really about turning into those pain points and recognizing there's wisdom underneath that, and how can we um, kind of recognize what we want as well. Like, how can we visualize um, a different way of being?
Yeah.
What do we really want? How can we learn how? For me, it was I had to learn how to dream again. I had to remember what my dream was, and then going toward that. And this is my dream. My dream is helping empower people to realize they don't have to stay stuck. Tony, a lot of times people are like, well, this is always get to this point, and then it just falls apart. Okay, let's see what that point is. And let's see how maybe we can remove that block that's keeping you stuck in that mindset. So we're only about 5% conscious, and the rest of us is just on autopilot.
So
You
tell us
know,
more.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about this, like sort of hitting a plateau and then not being able to go through. And how do you help your clients with that, please?
Well, we have to recognize the underlying beliefs that maybe we suppress, that we don't even speak of, that are kind of in there. Oh, I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I wasn't allowed to be better than my parents. You know, there's a lot of hidden beliefs that are all um, dependent on our upbringing and on our perspective and what we internalized. What beliefs did we internalize that cause us to self-sabotage?
Hmm.
And if we can get those foundational tools in place to regulate ourselves when we go there, then we can go to that place and have a conversation with ourselves. And I can help guide people through that and help you to realize, oh, that's not really true. That was a belief that my whoever you had in your life had. And removing those blocks is such a powerful thing. And then we go into movements that help support your empowerment. So one of my favorite poses is like the superhero pose,
Hmm.
like just sitting like this. Just sit there, you're tall, you're straight, confident, like, and just breathe a few times. Just breathe in, nice breath out. One more time.
Hopefully, the audience is doing this with us because
I,
it's a wonderful feeling.
how'd it feel?
Yeah,
How'd it feel?
fantastic,
So
fantastic.
good. So all of these things we think, it's like a kid that goes up the stairs and they stomp their feet because they're mad they didn't get their way. There's power an energy that you're giving to your body when you do those things. They are inherently helpful,
Hmm.
but sometimes we have vilified them. And so we need to recognize where's that underlying, oh, you're not allowed to sigh. You're not allowed to say no. You're not allowed to whatever it is and be like, you know what? I am. I am allowed to make noise. I'm allowed to be heard. I'm allowed to have a voice. And so as we start to tap into that, it's like we can start to alchemize our experience for our gain instead of to our detriment. So instead of holding that lower vibration, that lower um, thought pattern, we're like, hey, you know what? That's not true anymore for me.
Yeah,
And maybe I felt like it was true in the past. And and I must say we have to be careful with this because we can't just go to the I'm going to say every affirmation I hear and even if I don't believe it, I don't believe in that strategy. I believe how can we shift it in a way that feels nourishing and supportive but doesn't jar our nervous system to be like, this is not true. Because if you're not believing it, you're going to put up another barrier of resistance. And we don't want to do that.
exactly. So, Amanda, if people want to actually find out a little bit more about you, learn more about you, or connect to you, how they can do that?
I have a website that is being built right now because I'm just in the process of doing that. I've done this for 2.5 years, but I'm just starting that. If you would like, I will send you the link
Hmm.
and you can share it with them. It's It's just the website that will direct you right to my Calendly. And then my phone number is on there if you can't find a time that works for you, depending on where you are on the planet. I'm happy to accommodate. So I will have my information on there and I'm happy to connect with anyone. I have a little bit of information there. I'm just starting to get all my information out. So that's the business part that I'm working on right now. And yeah, I'd be happy to connect with anyone who'd like to know more. So please feel free to reach out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'll share the link in the description of this episode. And on top of that, like, what's one final tip that you can share with our audience if they're feeling stuck, if they're constantly, like, building themselves up to the certain level, but then, they're sort of hitting this plateau and are unable to go through that?
Hmm. Okay, one thing I would recommend is really just going outside, putting your feet in the grass. I know it sounds silly, but just try it out. Put your feet in the grass, make sure you don't have a electronic watch or phone on you, and just take a few minutes, maybe walk around, maybe sit down, breathe, whatever feels nourishing to you, and just kind of stretch, move your body around, kind of check in with yourself. Maybe go on a little walk and check in with, like, look, actually look. I don't want you looking at your phone. Leave your phone at home. I want you to look at nature. I want you to look at the beauty around you. I want you to take some nice deep breaths in and out. And really, the out part is very important. I want you to just breathe. And then I want you to just, I invite you, only do the things that feel nourishing to you. But I want you to be gentle with yourself. Show yourself a little compassion instead of being mad at yourself because you have hit the ceiling again. You're like, hey, I got you. This is part of the learning process. When we can start to shift our way of speaking to ourselves, it allows for more of that inner wisdom to be spoken because it feels like there's a place to be heard. So that would be my first thing. And then also reach out to me. If you're out of the country, we can also hop on, do WhatsApp to connect with phone numbers and things like that. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Amanda, thank you so much for being a guest, for sharing your wisdom and knowledge and your story. Thank you all for watching and listening to this great episode. If you liked it, drop us a like, subscribe, and also if you have any questions for Amanda and me, you can actually leave them in the comments below. We'll be more than happy to answer them. So see you all in the next episode. All the best and bye bye.
bye bye. Thank you.